Good evening, everyone. Today, I'd like to tell you about the tremendous growth that had taken place from 2014 to 2024. This decade I call as a decade of transformative growth. But how it was possible, that is the story. What is the recipe? What is the mantra of this tremendous development under this government? Okay, so let me begin my speech. So Prime Minister Modi's government assumed power in 2014, right? So since then, the Indian economy has undergone many structural reforms that have strengthened its macroeconomic fundamentals. These reforms have led to India emerging as the fastest growing economy among G20 economies. So India became the fastest growing economy in G20 countries, right, where all the 20 powerful countries are the members. Right, in 2023-2024, as per current estimates, it is estimated to have grown 7.3%. So the growth of Indian economy is now 7.3%. The government under Narendra Modi has taken many welfare measures for the upliftment of life and livelihood of common people, because the government of India under Modi knows very well that unless and until the development of poor people, rural people, unprivileged people is not possible, then the development as a whole of India is not possible. That is why government of India gave emphasis on holistic development of the people as a whole. Do you know that the government of India feeds many other countries by exporting food and other agri products? So after feeding all the Indian people, India exports wheat. The export of wheat continues to increase 136%. Let me say that in April to September 2021, India's export of wheat was $360 million, which was increased to $1,487 million in April to September 2022. So within 1 year, India increased more than double, almost more than double of export amount or value of export increased more than double, right, in just 1 year. So India's export, not only that, India's export of dairy products was also increased to 58%. In April to September 2021, India's export of dairy products was $216 million, which was increased to $342 million in April to September 2022, right? So also the agri and processed food exports rose 25% to $13.8 billion in the first 6 months of 2022-2023. So you see the tremendous growth, tremendous development of India's exports of agri products, right? So India increased even 42% of exports of the processed foods and vegetables. India also produces and exports the processed food, right? Processed fruits and vegetables also India exports. So it was in 2021 it was $719 million, which was increased to $1,024 million in April to September 2022, right? So India increased 144% in its export of pulses. In April to September 2021, India's export of processed fruits and vegetables was $135 million, which was increased to $330 million in April to September 2022. So you just imagine how India grew its exports of agricultural products and processed fruits and vegetables, right? So Indian agriculture is now Atmanirbhar. That is, now India has been successful in achieving self-sufficiency in agriculture, right? So how far Indian agriculture is Atmanirbhar, or Indian agriculture is self-reliant? See, Atmanirbhar Krishi is one of India's greatest successes. India witnessed a 54% jump in early wheat planting in 2022 to 2023. Wheat has been sown on 54,000 hectares till October 28, 2022, as compared to 34,000 hectares in 2021. So gradually, in every year, India is increasing land for cultivating wheat. So further, a record of 37.75 lakh hectares were covered by all Rabi crops of as of October 2022, as compared to total of agricultural land under organic farming doubled in last 3 years. In 2019 to 20, while it was 29.4 lakh hectares, it increased to 59.12 lakh hectares in 2021-2022. So India is increasing its what I say, agricultural land for farming, right? So Uzbekistan wants Indian agri products, right? India to export mangoes. India will export mangoes, bananas, soybean oil and cakes to Uzbekistan. So India will provide market access for grapes, plums and sweet cherries to Uzbekistan. You see, these are the great achievements. So our farmer friends and farmer brothers are very happy, because they are producing their goods and producing their crops, and through Government of India, they are exporting their produce to European and American and other markets in the world, right? So infrastructure development, you see, infrastructure is a very important thing in Indian economy. Without good infrastructure, one cannot grow. While if the roads are not there, if there is no good and pliable all-weather pliable road, then how can the vehicles move on? The wheels of development will move on or grow. So that is why the Government of India built 74 airports in first 67 years after independence. You just imagine, it doubled the number in just last 9 years, right? So this is the work the Government of India is now doing, right? So inclusive and world-class education system has been introduced in India. Government of India has formulated National Education Policy 2020, through which the government intends to make or transform India, right? So a few states have not yet accepted in toto the law, and they have not yet implemented the same. But those are the features of the National Education Policy are the best features so far produced or so far made by any government in India, right? So as a result of this government's initiative in education system, now the number of universities has been increased a lot. In 2014, when the UPA government was there, there were 723 universities, but in just last 10 years, it has increased to 1,113 universities in 2023 in India, right? So more girls are now in higher education than boys. The gross enrollment ratio, that is GER, for girls is 27.9 in 2020 vis-a-vis 12.7% in financial year 2010. So total enrollment of higher education was 3.4 crore in 2014. Only in higher education, what was the enrollment? the enrollment was 3.4 crore in 2014. It has gone to 4.1 crore. You just imagine what is achievement, what is the achievement, the level of achievement. There are many critics who criticize that the government of India has not done anything, but you have to understand, you have to study what the government of India has done in just last 10 years, right? So, from 3.4 crore enrollment of students in higher education, it has increased to 4.1 crore students in 2023. Moreover, world-class education is now available in India. Record 75 Indian institutes in Times World University Ranking 2023 indicates that in 2017, the total number of world-class universities was 31. In 2020, it was 56, right? So, from 31 to in 2020, it became 56. So, in 2021, this number was 71, and again in the year 2022, this number was increased to 75. So, just imagine how the government of India has made 75 universities as world-class universities. Okay. Now, financial support during COVID-19, you all know that the government of India provided financial support to the suffering people. India's economic growth suffered in the financial year 2021 due to global pandemic, and real GDP contracted by 5.8%. However, the government's agile response during this period through a broad range of fiscal, monetary and health responses to the crisis supported India's economic recovery. These, along with economic reforms, is helping to mitigate a long-lasting adverse impact of the crisis. We all know that the government of India supported more than 1 lakh crore rupees to the businessmen, to the hawkers, and to other people to restart their business and trade, right? Next, buying crude oil from Russia. What was the audacity of government of India? Government of India now can claim that yes, we have the power, we are now the 5th largest economy, and we can say, and we have some command in international affairs, though the United States of America and other powerful countries from the West were debarring imports of crude oil from Russia, but defying all the prohibitions and bars. Government of India, what did? Despite the conflict in Ukraine and disrupted supplies, it managed crude oil purchases at the right price, so that retail prices of petrol and diesel did not have to be increased for more than 18 months. So, India defied the objections of the USA for national interest. So, government of India gave importance of national importance. So, definitely it should be, the national importance should be given priority, and it should be given first priority, right? That is why the government of India bought or purchased crude oil from Russia. Okay, next, financial support to the state governments. Many states complain that they are not getting adequate support from or share of their GST maybe, or their taxes, which the union government is collecting from different states. They complain that the union government is not providing them their proper share. Okay, but you see what you see how the government of India is providing money or providing support, financial support to the state governments. The government gave a 50-year interest-free loan, 50-year interest-free loan of rupees 1 lakh crore to states in financial year 2023, and announced another rupees 1.3 lakh crore for 50-year interest-free loan in financial year 2024. So, now you cannot claim that the government of India is not supporting. Government of India is supporting financially to the states, and they have provided in 2024 how much money? Now 1.3 lakh crore of 50-year interest-free loan to the states, right? From April to November 2023, the states utilized more than 97 crore rupees, 97,000 crore rupees out of 1.3 lakh crore of interest-free loans under the special assistance to states, right, for capital investment that the center budgeted in financial year 2024. Resultantly, the states are improving their infrastructure like schools, rural roads, electricity provision, etc. States' capital expenditure was up more than 47% in 6 months between April to September 2023 compared to April to September 2022, right? The policy of ease of doing business and ease of living, the government of India has taken policies, those are helpful for managing business, doing business and living a comfortable life, right? So those are ease of doing business and ease of living policies. You see, the government's economic policy focus to restore India's growth potential by getting the financial sector back on track, facilitating economic activity by ensuring by easing conditions for business, right? So massively argumenting that physical and digital infrastructure to enhance India's connectivity and thus the competitiveness of its manufacturing sector. With this vision to guide its policies, the government has undertaken diverse economic reforms to prepare the economy to grow at its potential by creating a business-friendly environment, improvising ease of living and strengthening the government systems and process. So reforms in banking sector, the government of India also reformed its banking sector to bring power and to invigorate the banking system. So following the credit boom in the first decade of the millennium, the Indian economy faced a severe financial crisis up to 2020, right? So the private non-financial sector's credit to GDP ratio, which had risen from 58.8% in March 2000 to 113.6% by December 2010, came down to 83.8% in December 2018 under this government, right? So as the banking, non-banking and non-financial sectors deleveraged their balance sheets, the government undertook several reforms to strengthen the financial sector, right? From the capitalization and merger of public sector banks and amendment of the securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of Security Interest Act SARFAESI Act 2002 to enacting the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 216 IBC. These reforms have helped clean up the balance sheets of banks and corporates, right? So this SARFAESI Act is a very powerful tool, as the act provides power to a bank or financial institution to seize the property of a defaulting borrower. Remember, through this act, the government has provided or empowered the banks or public sector banks or financial institutions to seize the property of a defaulting borrower, right? So if the loan borrowers make any default in repayment of a loan or a loan installment, the financial institution can classify the account as a non-performing asset or an NPA. The IBC has improved the business environment by providing a mechanism for an honorable exit to honest business failures, right? So if you cannot do business, if you are suffering from continuous losses, then you may quit. So there is a provision in the IBC, right? So today thousands of debtors are resolving distress in the early stages due to the credible threat of the court. until September 2023, 2,808 corporate debtors have been rescued through the court, either through resolution plans or appeal, review, settlement, or through withdrawal, right? Simplification of regulatory frameworks. The Government of India has simplified different regulatory frameworks. You see how simplification of regulatory framework has been integral to all the reforms undertaken since 2014 by the Government of India under Narendra Modi, right? So, for instance, enacting the Real Estate Regulation and Development Act 2016 has created a culture of transparent transactions, reducing the circulation of black money, and it's incentivizing more investment in the sector. More than 1 lakh real estate projects, and 72,012 real estate agents are registered under the provisions of the Act. Just imagine the number of individuals and businesses have been registered under this Act, right? So, reform in tax policy, the Government of India has reformed. It is one of the reforms in tax policies was one of the greatest achievements of this government. Further, to enhance the ease of living and ease of doing business, the taxation ecosystem in the country has undergone substantial changes in the post-2014 period. Tax policy reforms such as adopting a unified goods and services tax (GST), right, reducing corporate and income tax rates, exemption of sovereign wealth funds and pension funds from taxes, and removing the dividend distribution tax have reduced the tax burden on individuals and businesses and removed the distortionary incentives from the economy, right? So, the transformational GST has enhanced the tax base, reduced complications, and ensured a free flow of goods across the states and led to the formalization of economy. Do you know the effects or benefits of GST? The GST system has shown improved buoyancy over the pre-GST regime, with consistently rising average monthly gross collections from rupees 0.9 lakh crore in financial year 18 to rupees 1.5 lakh crore. Imagine 1.5 lakh crore in the financial year 2023. So, the number of GST taxpayers increased from mere 66 lakhs at its introduction to 1.4 crore. 1.4 crore people have been registered under GST, with largest number of smaller businesses entering the regime. Public-private partnership, a major reform over the last 9 years in the transition, is in the engagement of the government with the private sector for the development agenda. The private sector is now entrusted as a co-partner in development. Accordingly, the government's disinvestment policy has been revived. Focus on improving solar power. The Government of India has given importance on non-traditional power production, right? So, as a new public sector enterprises policy for Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India, has been introduced to minimize the presence of the government in the public sector enterprises to only a few strategic sectors. Many initiatives have been introduced, okay, for making India a self-reliant country. Solar power saved over 4.2 billion in fuel costs in first 6 months of 2022 by using solar power. Also, this country saved 19.4 million tons 19.4 million tons of coal through its solar power. So, imagine, and not only that, the biggest ever coal mine auction of 141 mines launched under this government, right? Coal imports for the power sector came down by 41% because the Government of India is now for producing solar power. It provided a fillip to economic growth and anticipated 900 million ton coal production this year. Right? Introduction of Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-reliant concept. This is a new concept introduced by Government of India. A new public sector enterprise policy for Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant India, has been introduced to minimize the presence of government in the public sector enterprises. Right. So production linked incentives are being provided to firms to attract domestic and foreign investments and to develop global challenges in the manufacturing industry. Strategic sectors such as defense, mining, space have been opened up to enhance business opportunities for the private sector. FDI policy has been modernized. The FDI policy has also been further liberalized, with most sectors now open for 100% FDI under the automatic route. India is rapidly emerging as the most preferred foreign investment destination. In 2019 to 2020, FDI was $74 billion. In 2021, it increased to $82 billion, and further in the 2022, it increased to $84.8 billion despite the pandemic. In this way, the government of India will attract FDI worth $470 billion in next next 5 years. It is a prediction, right? So let's see. Discrimination. Decriminalization of minor economic offences. Decriminalization has been introduced by this government, and decriminalizing minor economic offences under the Companies Act of 2013 has significantly enhanced the ease of doing business over the past years. After the reform, more than 1,400 default cases have been decided over restoring to court. More than 4 lakh companies have willfully rectified past deficits to avoid penalties under the Companies Act. Robust policy making. So the government of India undertook significant reforms over the past few years to reduce policy uncertainty. About 25,000 unnecessary compliances have been eliminated, and more than 1,400 archaic laws have been repealed, relaxing the angel tax and removing retrospective taxation, reaffirm the government's commitment in this direction. Right. So the emphasis of the reforms for the private sector has been just on large businesses. The progressive reforms introduced by the government for the micro, small and medium enterprises sector have supported smaller businesses to recover from the impact of the pandemic and grow further. Okay, so now the government of India has given emphasis on the MSMEs also. So Make in India program. So Make in India program is an innovative program of the government of India, particularly the Prime Minister. So the Prime Minister in September 2014 declared this noble program of Make in India to focus on manufacturing. This is a major national program of the government to facilitate investment, foster innovation, enhance skill development, protect intellectual property and build best-in-class manufacturing infrastructure in the country. Right. So India aspires to be a manufacturing hub of the world by replacing China. The primary objective of this objective was to attract investments from across the globe and strengthen the Indian manufacturing sector. As a result, what happened now? India witnessed the glory of this initiative within a few years only. The rising glory of the Make in India program was felt when India saw phone manufacturing up to 14 times in 8 years. Right. In 2014, total worth of phone manufacturing amounted to 18,900 crore, while in 2022, this amount was increased to 2,75,000 crore. Right. So under Make India program, Narendra Modi's Make in India program initiative, defense major SAAB will manufacture the Curl Gustav M4 weapon system in India. This initiative of Make in India is a bolster indigenous defense manufacturing. It will produce shoulder-fired weapons in 2024 and first time outside of Sweden. So these are the benefits the government of India is cropping up. Many startups are created under this government. So all these investment incentives and initiatives to ease business compliances and remove policy uncertainties have created an ecosystem for startups to nurture. In 2022, India reached 75,000 startups when India celebrated her 75th year of independence. More than 80 startups are recognized per day. 80 startups are recognized per day, the highest in the world. 7.46 lakh jobs created, 110% yearly increase over the last 6 years. The last 10,000 startups were recognized in 166 days compared to initial 10,000 startups in 806 days. 495 of startups are from Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. So just imagine how the startups are creating day by day and increasing. Not only that, the government has made large-scale public spending since 2024 to address the infrastructure and logistics bottlenecks that have been a concern for investors for several decades. New India created milestone as the number of unicorns has also been increased to 107. Now India has 107 unicorns. India ranked third globally in terms of number of publications in SCI journals. India ranked third globally in terms of the number of PhDs awarded in science and engineering. This is a report of Ministry of Science and Technology, Government of India. A space startup revolution by ISRO has been initiated. India's space startups are soon to launch satellite constellation and new rockets. A total of 182 startups. What is startup? Now, startup is considered only for the purpose of government scheme, right? The period of existence and operations should not extend 10 years from the date of incorporation. Are working in the space sector in cutting edge areas. 5 PSLVs means Polar Satellite Launch Vehicles are being domestically produced by Hindustan Aeronautic Limited and Larsen and Toubro, right? So India's tech reaching to the stars. The space economy is estimated to cross rupees 60,000 crore by 2025. Geospatial economy to grow at an average of 12.8%. Demand for smaller satellites to boost domestic manufacturing and generate employment for 10 lakh people. Right? Next, effective capital expenditure initiative by the government. The effective capital expenditure by the union government has risen from 2.8% of the GDP in the fiscal year ending March 2014 to 4.5% in the year 2022 to 23. Dedicated programs for road connectivity, that is Bharatmala, port infrastructure, Sagarmala, electrification, railways, upgradation, and new airports or new air routes, Udan, among others, have enabled the modernization of infrastructure in